100 motorcycles rolled down Maple Street that morning. The engines shook the windows. Kids froze on the sidewalk. Chrome and leather, crimson patches, a convoy stretching 2 full blocks. And at the end of the street, standing on a cracked driveway in a faded hoodie, was a 17-year-old boy named Henry Adams. Eyes wide, hands shaking. 3 weeks earlier, this kid spent his last $10 helping a stranger on the side of the road. Didn't say thank you, just handed him a card and rode off into the rain. Henry thought that was the end of it. But what he didn't know, Henry had just given him the one thing money couldn't buy. And what those 100 bikers were about to bring would change his life forever. Clears his throat. Okay, sit tight. Let me take you back to where this all started. But before we get to that moment, before the motorcycles and the tears and everything that came after, you need to understand something first. You need to understand what $10 meant to Henry Adams. Because for most people, $10 is nothing. It's a coffee and a sandwich. It's loose change you forget in your jacket pocket. But for Henry, $10 was the difference between making it through the week and not making it at all. Henry's alarm went off at 5:30 every morning. Not because he wanted to wake up that early, because he had to. His grandmother needed her insulin kept cold. Music and the old refrigerator in their kitchen made a sound around 4 a.m. That meant the compressor was struggling again. So Henry got up early, checked the fridge, made sure the temperature was holding. Then he started his day. The house was small. 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, a kitchen with a cracked tile floor. The wallpaper in the hallway had been peeling since Henry was 12, curling away from the wall like it was trying to leave too. The window in his bedroom didn't lock anymore. He taped it shut with duct tape last winter and never got around to fixing it. But it was clean, always clean. Nana Ruth insisted on that. We may not have much, she used to say, but we don't have to live like it. Nana Ruth, that's Henry's grandmother, 74 years old, diabetic, partial vision loss in her right eye, an oxygen concentrator humming beside her bed every night like a mechanical heartbeat. She raised Henry since he was 6. His mother died from complications during surgery. His father left before Henry could remember his face. Ruth stepped in without hesitation. Took the boy, fed the boy, clothed the boy, loved the boy. She worked 31 years at a textile plant until her knees gave out. Then the diabetes came. Then the vision started going. Now she moved slow. But she still made dinner most nights. Still called Henry my old soul. Still told him he worried too much. He told her he was fine. They both knew the other one was lying, and they loved each other too much to push it. Every morning, Henry scrambled 2 eggs, 1 for him, 1 plated and covered with a towel for Nana Ruth when she woke up. He ate standing at the counter, backpack already on one shoulder. And every morning he saw it taped to the fridge, yellowed at the edges, curling slightly, was a crayon drawing. A little garage with a hand-lettered sign above the door, Adams Auto. Henry drew that when he was 9 years old. It had been on that fridge for 8 years. And every single morning he looked at it, and every single morning he looked away a little faster than the day before. Because dreams are heavy when you can't afford to carry them. School was school. Henry was a junior at Redville High. His grades were decent, mostly B's, a few A's in shop-related subjects back when the school still had a shop class. Budget cuts killed that program 3 years ago. Now Henry sat in study hall reading a second-hand auto repair manual under his desk. Pages dog-eared margins full of his own handwritten notes. He taught himself engine diagnostics, music starting at 13, electrical systems at 14, transmission theory at 15. He understood cars the way some people understand music, not just the parts, but how they talk to each other. But there was no path for that at Redville High. No program, no mentor, no one who looked at this quiet kid in the back row and thought, he's got something. His guidance counselor asked about college once. Henry said, I'm thinking about it. He wasn't. He was thinking about the electric bill. After school, Henry drove to the fuel and go gas station for his evening shift 4 nights a week. He stocked shelves, mopped floors, ran the register, got home around 11 o'clock, did homework at the kitchen table until midnight, woke up at 5:30, did it again. He didn't play sports, didn't hang out after school. His classmates drove trucks their parents bought him. Henry drove his grandmother's 2001 Chevy Cavalier, a car older than he was with a cracked dashboard and a passenger window that wouldn't roll down. He wasn't bitter about it. That's the thing people wouldn't expect. Henry Adams didn't walk around angry at the world. He just lived inside a quiet awareness that his life ran on different math than everyone else's. And every night after the shift, after the homework, after checking on Nana Ruth one more time, he sat on the back porch with that repair manual open on his lap, porch light buzzing above him, crickets in the yard, the smell of pine and damp grass. That was his time. The only hour of the day that belonged to him. And here's the detail that matters. Under his bed in a shoebox with a rubber band around it, Henry kept $43 in cash. 5 months of scraping together ones and fives. Every spare dollar, every tip, every bit of change went into that box. He was saving for a used OBD2 diagnostic scanner. The kind real mechanics use. The kind that could turn a hobby into something real. Every Sunday night, he counted the money, wrote the new total on the inside of the shoebox lid. $43. He whispered to himself, almost there. Then he turned off the porch light, went inside, and got ready to do it all over again. But what Henry didn't know, what nobody in Redville could have predicted, was that tomorrow, a stranger on the side of a highway was about to test everything this kid was made of. The next day started like every other day in Henry's life. But by 4 o'clock that afternoon, he'd be standing on the shoulder of Route 12, making the most expensive decision he'd ever made. It started with Nana Ruth. Her blood sugar spiked in the night. When Henry checked on her at 5:30, she was sitting on the edge of her bed, dizzy, gripping the mattress with both music hands. Her forehead was damp. Her breathing was shallow. Henry knelt in front of her. "Nana, I'm staying home today." She looked at him with that one good eye, the eye that still saw everything. "Boy, you are not missing school over my stubborn sugar. I raised myself before you got here. I can raise my feet off this bed just fine. Go." He didn't want to leave. Every part of him said stay. But Nana Ruth had a way of making a suggestion, music sound like a commandment from God himself. So he grabbed his backpack, checked her insulin, filled her water glass, and left. He checked his phone every hour that day between classes during lunch and study hall with the repair manual sitting unopened on his lap because his mind was somewhere else entirely. She texted him once at noon, "Sugar down, 8 toast. Stop worrying." He didn't stop worrying. After school, Henry drove to the pharmacy to pick up Nana Ruth's insulin refill. Same pharmacy, same route, same errand he'd run a dozen times before. But today was different. The pharmacist typed something into the computer, frowned, typed again, then looked up at Henry with the expression people use when they're about to deliver bad news to someone they feel sorry for. "There's been a formulary change on this prescription. The copay went up." Henry stared at her. "How much?" $10 more than last time. $10. The number landed on Henry's chest like a brick. He knew exactly what $10 meant. He knew it down to the penny. That $10 was coming from the shoebox, from the scanner fund, from 5 months of scraping and saving and telling himself, almost there. He pulled out his wallet, paid it, watched the cashier hand him his change music in the white pharmacy bag, watched his scanner fund drop from $43 to $33. He sat in the Cavalier in the parking lot, hands on the wheel, engine off, staring straight ahead at absolutely nothing. 1 minute passed, then 2. Then he started the car and drove toward the gas station for his shift. On the way, he passed the empty lot on the corner of Maple and 4th. Weeds pushing through cracked concrete, a faded for sale sign leaning sideways in the dirt. Every time Henry drove past that lot, he glanced at it. Every time he imagined a garage there, lifts and tool walls and a sign with his name on it. Every time he looked away. Today he looked away faster than usual. Route 12, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. The sky had been threatening all day. Low clouds bruised purple and gray, the kind that don't bluff. The wind was bending the pine trees along the highway, temperature dropping fast. Henry was 10 minutes from the gas station when he saw it. A motorcycle on the gravel shoulder. Not a small one. A massive, heavy vintage machine, chrome and black. A 1972 Harley Shovelhead, though Henry didn't know the model yet. The rear tire was completely flat, shredded down to the rim, and next to it stood a man. Late 60s, silver beard that hung halfway down his chest. Leather vest over a flannel shirt, boots that had seemed more road than most cars, big hands. Music. A face that looked like it had been carved from 50 years of hard weather and harder decisions. He was standing with his arms folded, staring at the destroyed tire like it personally betrayed him. Henry slowed the Cavalier. His first thought was to pull over. His second thought was the clock. His shift started in 30 minutes. He'd already been late twice this month. One more and his manager would cut his hours. He couldn't afford to lose hours. He looked at the old man, looked at the sky. The first drops of rain were starting to hit his windshield. This stretch of Route 12 didn't get traffic after dark. If nobody stopped, this man could be out here all night in the rain, in the cold at his age. Henry pulled over. He stepped out of the car. Music. The wind caught his hoodie and whipped it sideways. Rain was already speckling his glasses. He walked toward the man. The gravel crunched under his sneakers. "Sir, do you music need some help?" The old man turned, looked at him, didn't speak. His eyes moved over Henry slowly. The faded hoodie, the old car, the young face. It wasn't hostility in that look. It was something else. Something deeper. Music like this man had spent his entire life measuring people in a single glance, and music most of them came up short. A long beat of silence, rain falling between them. Then the old man spoke. 2 words, flat, giving nothing away. "Tire's done." And what happened next would cost Henry Adams more than he could possibly imagine. What should have taken 20 minutes took almost 2 hours. And it cost Henry Adams more than just time. Henry walked back to the Cavalier and popped the trunk. Music inside, buried under a jumper cable and a jug of windshield fluid, was a basic tire patch music kit. Cheap dollar store. He'd bought it months ago for a slow leak on his own car. He carried it back to the motorcycle and knelt on the gravel. The first problem hit immediately. The Shovelhead's rear tire was heavy. Way heavier than anything on the Cavalier. Henry tried to work the rubber free and his hand slipped. He repositioned, tried again. Gravel bit into his knees. Rain came sideways now, stinging his face, blurring his vision. Music. The old man stood a few feet away, arms crossed, watching. He didn't offer to help, didn't crouch down, didn't even lean forward. It wasn't cruelty. Henry didn't know it, but the old man's left shoulder hadn't rotated past 45 degrees in years, and underneath that leather vest, a heart his doctors had been warning him about for months. He physically could not help, but Earl Dawson would rather stand in the rain and watch a teenager struggle than admit weakness to a stranger. So, he tested Henry the only way he knew how, with silence. 5 minutes? Desati. Henry's hands were raw, his fingertips numb. The patch slipped the first time. He peeled it away, cleaned the surface, reapplied. It didn't hold. He exhaled long and slow. Started over. Third attempt, steadier, more patient. He pressed the patch down with both thumbs and held it for a full minute. Rain hammered his back. His hoodie was soaked through. His knees were muddy and raw. He didn't complain, didn't look up for sympathy, he just worked. Something shifted in the old man's expression, like a locked door cracking open half an inch. "You're going to tear up your knees," the old man said. Henry didn't look up. "I already messed them up falling off my bike when I was 12. These are the backup knees." The old man's mouth twitched, the ghost of a reaction from a man who didn't give reactions easily. The patch held on the third try, but barely. Henry stood up and looked at the repair. Honestly, this wasn't going to survive 30 miles to Cooperton, but there was a place closer. Grady's Tire Barn 4 miles up Route 12. "Small shop," Henry called. A guy named Grady answered on the fourth ring. "You got a tube that'll fit a 72 shovelhead rear?" Pause. "Yeah, $10 cash only." Henry's hand tightened on the phone. $10 US? He knew exactly what was in his wallet. One bill. The 10 he got as change from the pharmacy an hour ago. The money that was supposed to go back in the shoebox. The money that sat between his grandmother making it through the week and not. He looked at the old man. The old man's face gave nothing. Rain ran down the creases beside his eyes. He wasn't asking for anything. He just stood there the way a mountain stands. Henry looked at the sky. Darker by the minute. No headlights in either direction. Music. If he left now, this man could be out here until midnight. He reached into his wallet. One bill. Alexander Hamilton staring up at him through cracked plastic. Music. He looked at it for 2 seconds. 2 seconds where everything flashed. Insulin. Groceries? Friday. Then he got in the Cavalier and drove to Grady's. He bought the tube, drove back, knelt in the mud again, installed it properly this time. Careful. Precise. The way the repair manual taught him, even with shaking fingers and rain blurring his glasses. While Henry was at Grady's, something happened he would never know about. The old man alone with the bike slowly lowered himself to one knee. He looked at him patch job, ran his thumb along the edge. Music, clean lines, good pressure, textbook work, not guessing, understanding. Earl Dawson had been around mechanics his whole life. He knew craftsmanship. This kid had it. He pulled himself back up, pressed a hand against his chest. Music took a breath, said nothing when Henry returned. Henry finished, stood up, jeans caked with mud, hands scraped and raw, shivering so hard his voice came out unsteady. "That tube should hold the Cooperton. There's a Harley dealer off exit 14. They'll set you up right." The old man looked at the repair, then at Henry. A long, measuring look. "What's your name?" "Henry." "Henry Adams?" "How old are you?" "17." Something moved behind the old man's eyes. "17." He reached into his vest and pulled out a worn leather card case, removed a single card, cream-colored, fixed stock, just a name, E. Dawson. A phone number beneath it. "No title, no company, no logo. You never need anything. You call that number." Henry took the card, glanced at it, tucked it in his back pocket without thinking. He was already running the math. $10 gone. Shift started 50 minutes ago. Friday felt very far away. The old man kicked Harley to life. The engine roared. Deep rolling thunder that shook the wet air. He pulled on the Route 12 without looking back. Henry stood on the shoulder, rain pouring down his face, watching the taillight shrink into the gray distance until it vanished. Then he got in the Cavalier, started the engine on the third try, drove to the gas station, clocked in 52 minutes late. His manager docked his pay without asking why. Henry didn't explain. He tied on his apron and started restocking the cooler, same music as always. "Okay, hold on. I need to pause right here. This is a 17-year-old kid. He just spent his grandmother's insulin money, his last $10 on this earth, on a stranger who hasn't said thank you. A man he'll probably never see again after working all week after barely eating. Sighs. I'm going to be honest. I don't know if I would have done that. That's not just kindness. That's something deeper." Henry went home that night. Music put the card on his dresser and forgot about it. But Earl Dawson did not forget about Henry Adams. It was past 11 when Henry pulled into the driveway. The house was dark except for the blue glow of the oxygen concentrator leaking under Nana Ruth's bedroom door. He stood in her doorway for a moment, listened to her breathing. Steady, slow. Okay. He peeled off his wet clothes in the bathroom, took a shower. The hot water ran out in 4 minutes, same as always, changed into dry sweats, and went to the kitchen. Leftover rice and canned beans. He ate standing at the counter, staring at the crayon drawing on the fridge. Adam's auto 9-year-old handwriting. He looked at it longer than usual tonight. Then he went to his room, pulled the shoebox from under the bed, removed the rubber band, counted the money, $33. He stared at the number for a long time. 5 months of saving, and he'd just gone backward. He wrote the new total on the inside of the lid, put the rubber band back on, slid the box under the bed. The cream-colored card sat on his dresser. Dawson. He glanced at it, thought about throwing it in the trash. Old man probably wouldn't even remember him by the mom. He left it there, turned off the light. The next few days were tight, tighter than usual.